Because life is so chaotic and can be very messy, the longest trip you can ever take is from your head to your heart. My father told me this at many times in my life. That trip is actually the emotional and physical connection that we have with ourselves when we're in these chaotic moments, with our environment. My name is Dr. Teresa Larson. I'm a former Marine, pro athlete, now doctor of physical therapy.
And I'm John McCaskill, retired Navy SEAL commander turned mindfulness and meditation teacher. The two of us have blazed this trail. It took us years to do so, to get a feeling of peace emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And we want to help you blaze that trail in just a fraction of the time. And if you want to take your own journey and learn how to do this faster, check out our mindfulness and movement experience. All right, look at all these beautiful smiling faces. Here we are with the mindfulness and movement experience and some of our past and current still participating members of the mindfulness and movement experience, and then the follow-on Movement RX platform. We're so excited to have you all here with us today. Teresa, Will, great to see you as you know, hosts of this, if you will, and then all our participants. So great to see your smiling faces. I know we're all jazzed up because we haven't all gone live before. So, hey, Will, do your thing, brother.
Okay. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll actually, some of the things we might have learned through our M2 experience, we're just going to work with a little meditation right now so we can all kind of get in the same place and stay focused and get grounded. So take your seat, close your eyes if you like, try to open up your, kind of root down into your sit bones and create a nice long spine by lengthening through the crown of the head. Maybe open up your chest a little bit to kind of open up your lungs so you can receive more breath. We're just going to do just a few simple breaths just to help ourselves ground. Let's start with a nice little exhale through the nose. Let it go out. Good. Try to take a big inhale and fill the torso. Let it go out the mouth or the nose, your choice. Good. And feel the bigger inhale. Exhale, let that go softly. So really try to create a nice calming, soothing quality of breath as we just stay for like 5 or 6 more. Inhale big. Let it go out and feel your body kind of melting with its stress. Maybe your shoulders relax, your jaw softens, and your face kind of relaxes down a little bit. And take a few more breaths in. Let it go. And keep going, right? Breathing in this way. But notice like the calm of your breath, right? The calm of your mind and your body. And just give yourself a few more in. Maybe take a bigger inhale if you like. From the very beginning of the exhale and the very beginning of the inhale, really try to make it smooth so the transition is smooth between the two. There's a nice gentleness and peaceful quality of breathing, which allows us to create more of that calm, peaceful and grounded experience. A couple more. Good. 2 more breaths in. Out easy. 1 more. Good. And just take a moment and just remind yourself why you're here today. Good. And let's take one big giant inhale. fill up more and more and more. Breath in. And exhale with that little sigh out. And very nice. When you're ready, open your eyes. Wow. Did I change anything for everybody? Anybody? How we doing? Cool. Good. Oh, Randy's smiling. That's awesome, Randy. I know Randy's like all amped up now, right? A little grounding practice to kind of shift the mood a little bit, right? Beautiful. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Teresa. This is great.
Thank you, Will. All right, everyone, let's kick this off. So my name is Dr. Teresa Larson. I'm a physical therapist by trade. And now I run Movement RX, which is a movement and mindfulness-based company. We provide remote, basically, programs for individuals, in particular, this wonderful mindfulness and movement experience. We call it the M2 experience. And so I am in my new home in Durango, Colorado. And if you didn't notice the skeleton in the room, Skelly, he's wearing my fancy hat that I rarely wear these days, but he gets to wear the fancy hat. Maybe one of these lives I'll wear it for you all. But I'm very excited to be here with John, with Will. I get to work with very closely on the experience, but also the people that I've been able to meet through the experience. Randy here, Brent, you want to raise your hand? Randy, Brent, we got Sarah Marie and Eva. And it's been an honor to be able to work with them. And they joined our mindfulness and movement experience. They were like the first group. I think most of you were in the first group, which is really special. So John and I actually started this, I don't know, 6 months ago now, because we were speaking to companies on mindfulness and movement, yet there was no what's next. And we felt like it's really, really important to be able to have a what's next for people. So there's a support network, a tribe, there's accountability, right? You learn these tools, but then what? And that oftentimes happens. People go to an experience, people go to a weekend retreat, go to, do a day-long training or a class, yet then where's the accountability? Where's the follow-up? So the mindfulness and movement experience is literally that, teaching you tools, mindfulness meditation tools, how to be mindful in your life, how to apply meditation to your life, as well as movement, like not necessarily fitness, but like, how do you move your joints? How healthy is your body? How healthy are your movement patterns, right? Whatever app or cool thing you're doing in your fitness or training, great. But how are you healing from these sometimes chronic injuries that pop up? What are your joints, soft tissue, ways of thinking? How are those things? And so that's what the mindfulness and movement experience is about, is giving you knowledge and tools to live a lifetime of emotional and physical freedom. Because if you can learn the tools that we teach in the mindfulness and movement experience, and apply it to your life, it will make a huge difference. I kind of equate it to, it creates compound interest. The more you do it, the more it creates this amazing abundance in your life. Like, you just feel more like your life is more vast. Like, you don't have as much pain, right? You just feel more focused and present. And who wouldn't like to be a little bit more focused and present in their life? So I wanted to bring on these amazing tribe members, Randy, Brent, Eva, Sarah Marie, because over the course of time, I feel like we're already family. And they've been able to share openly with us about the impact of this experience on their lives. And they were open to sharing it with all of you, right? We have a mindfulness and movement experience coming up. October 27th is the day that it starts, which means you have to sign up before it starts, because we don't do a rolling sign up. It's like we launch it every 6 weeks. And so to be able to join this next experience, you must sign up before October 27th. And there's a really special thing that we're doing for this next experience, is that if you pay for yourself, pay it forward to a veteran, because it's Veterans Month coming up. And we would love to, and thank you, John. John just dropped the link in the comments there. There's an ability to pay it forward to someone you love. And ideally, if there's a veteran in your life that you care about, or you are a veteran and want to do this with a battle buddy, right? Pay it forward to a battle buddy and do it together. And these basically, Randy, Sarah Marie, Brent, Eva are our battle buddies now too, which is really nice. So consider that, right? October 27th is the last day you can sign up. It launches then. It goes for 21 full days where you get little micro habit changers each day in meditation and movement, which is exciting. And so I actually would like to start it off with Will, because Will, I actually met through John, and he's the host of Men Talking Mindfulness, which is an amazing new partner, like an official partner of this mindfulness and movement experience, and an amazing man. And he actually teaches yoga on the platform. And I would love to just hear from you, Will, like what the teaching on the platform has done for you, but also like you went through the first experience too. What was it like for you?
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy the simplicity of the program, like how, John and Teresa, like you've broken down this mindfulness experience into its essential elements and creating a foundation. I mean, you talked earlier, Teresa, about the importance of integration, and that's really what this is. Like, you can hear the concepts or of meditation or different aspects of mindfulness, but how do you become more aware? And that's the key to mindfulness, is practice, and integrating it into your life. And the more you practice, whether it could just be like, that's what I like, these little like 10-minute videos about finding your breath, or being more aware of your food, or being more of yourself, emotionally or physically. And that's when it begins to change, right? It's just like awareness and mindfulness just kind of shines a light on what you're doing. And with that illumination of like that particular aspect of your life, whether it's a feeling or emotion or how you're doing something, then you can start to really change things. So yeah, I mean, I love the simplicity and the essential elements of mindfulness in the M2 experience. And it really gives you a platform. And just like any structure, right? If you don't have a concrete foundation, the rest of the building is absolute crap. Right. And that's what the M2 experience does for us. And anybody that actively participates, and actually does the practices. And it's been exciting to bring, yoga and very simple, again, basic, essential yoga practices. Yoga is not just people think of yoga just as the asanas. Like, everyone thinks, oh, well, yoga is just down dog, right? which is only part of the practice. And there's many different asanas, they call them, many different movements and poses and positions and transitions within a yoga practice, which make it complete. But also part of the other elements of it are the breathing practices, which are super essential, which keep us more present, and also the meditation practices as well that I like to weave into these practices that I have with the M2 experience. And the way I like to teach those practices, again, very simple, very fundamental, and I just kind of act like people really don't know anything about yoga. And just even through these simple practices of like, what's 30, 40 minutes and whatever we're doing, could be opening up our back. I mean, the whole practice is designed to really open up the body, like from top to bottom, from left to right, from, front to back, like all over the place. To like, not just create flexibility, which is another thing that people think like, yoga is just flexibility. There's a lot of strength, a lot of deeper strength in the practice of yoga as well. So just really, I think the yoga practice kind of rounds out the M2 experience, because instead of it just being practicing breathing or practicing different points of awareness, it's like the more we become physically aware, right, then we can become more, typically that opens up more mental and emotional awareness. And it works the same way. As I challenge my body physically, right, that's when I begin to see more of my emotional and my mental mindset. And then I can really begin to change things. So I'm glad that you did bring yoga into this experience, because it gives another place people to go to soften the body, relax the mind, find, again, more of that emotional experience, but also create more of that resilience from a physical level instead of just the mental or emotional level as well. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, Will, and we appreciate you. I think you hit on a couple really important things. It's key to this experience too, which this experience is kind of like it's life, really.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We're developing, we're helping people create a lifestyle. But you mentioned keeping it simple. And I think a lot of times we talk about this pyramid of physical and emotional freedom. And a lot of times people want to jump right into like, oh man, this person's training 3 hours a day or doing an hour of meditation. Like, I need to do that. They jump straight up to like training hardcore, very little warm up. They've got to commit to an hour more a day, eat perfectly 6 meals a day or 3 meals, whatever it is, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. Actually, when you can stick to the fundamentals, and where we come in is teaching you how to, what we call, downregulate the nervous system. When you have triggers in your life, when you have trauma, which we all do to some degree, when you have stuff in your life that you're dealing with, it manifests in the body. There's no disconnect between the mind and body. There's a complete connection. And so we need to treat both the mind and the body, and you need to keep it simple. And teaching you how to create calm in the body and the mind is what I love when I've experienced your yoga classes, is what you're doing. Because it takes, a lot of us have this neck up stuff, and being able to like actually move our body and create less tension in our body actually will manifest into less tension in the mind. It doesn't mean those problems aren't there. It just means they become a little less extreme. And so I really appreciate the tool of bringing yoga into it, which is basically, an important life movement. It's one of the longest standing practices of human movement there is. It's a very ancient practice. But more importantly, with this work, it's helping people learn where to start. And if you're healing, if you have chronic injuries, if you've got stuff going on neck up, right? How do you create this awareness and this level of like health and healing, even with this stuff going on, like creating less tension in the body, creating less tension in the mind, so that these triggers become less extreme. Because no matter what you do, sometimes they're going to be there. And so I know John's talked a lot about talk therapy before and different things. And this isn't a therapy experience. This is an experience on how to be proactive about your health. But thank you, Will, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to go into now, actually kick it over to the tribe, because I want to hear from you all. And let's start with Brent. Brent, if you can just say a little bit about yourself and what drew you to this mindfulness and movement experience, like what made you want to dive in?
Yeah, so it was really just the thought of mindfulness, and John has explained it very well from a mindfulness. Mindfulness is really, living mindful is a decision, and it's a decision you make to connect. And I think for me, learning how to, not just connect with fans or the folks on this team, really connect with everything in your day and in your life. John told me early on when I met him on LinkedIn and first started the mindfulness, that I should take 3 raisins and eat them as slowly as possible. And I did that, and it was just kind of a wake-up call to say, wow, when you slow down and you focus and you pay attention to really what's going on, it's amazing. Whether it's an email you're writing or sitting at dinner with my spouse, everything just takes on a whole new level of connection. And to me, that's been the meditation is something I think we've all kind of had access to, or I've always kind of had access to and kind of turned to in, stressful times. But to really think of the brain as a muscle and train it like you would train the rest of your body has been a huge wake up call for me. When the pandemic rolled around and my travel stopped and my job changed dramatically from a travel and an activity, I was really good at working from home. I could totally get focused. I was either focused into the laptop and working, or I was out for a long run. I ran a ton of miles from March to the end. But what I realized and what I've learned from this experience is I can now not only physically shut the office door at night when I'm done, but I can also shut the laptop between my ears and be present for, my wife at dinner or my grandchildren on the phone or whatever it might be. It's just really created an amazing connection for me, both physically with what I'm doing, and then, the less stress and the calm has been a game changer for me.
Thank you, Brent, for that. I think you hit on something important, like well, all of it really, but just the ability to slow down. Like, I think everyone out there would like to be able to learn how to slow down, and we can. And oftentimes we can use the excuse of our life, right? Of, well, my life is too busy. I've got so much going on. I've got kids, I've got work and whatever. And it's like life really will never slow. I mean, it's time is going, right? And we can create the boundaries. We can choose to slow down. We can choose. And by doing that, it's the skill of slowing down is actually being present with what's in front of you versus talking to your wife or talking to my husband and being on my phone at the same time, or being with my kids and being on the phone at the same time. And my kids now my 4-year-old reminds me of that now. But that's a skill. It doesn't just it's great to talk about, but to actually practice it is quite challenging in our distracted culture that we're in. So I always love that your feedback on closing the laptop between the ears and just like the little things that happen in like the conversations with your grandkids, the work you're doing, it's more impactful now because you can be more present. And that doesn't mean it's going to be all the time. Like this isn't like you do 21 days and it's just there. You got it. Like we're just starting the habit with 21 days. It takes time. And I actually would like to kick it to Eva Marie. Sorry, Eva. I was looking at Sarah Marie and I said Eva Marie. Anyway, I want to kick it to Eva to share a little bit about herself and why she's enjoying the experience.
Great. Thank you. So this, I heard about this through LinkedIn. I used to work in the military and defense sector for a private company. And this came across, it struck a chord with me because I, at that time, was constantly working, constantly busy, trying to achieve these great big goals, but I felt like I really wasn't for anything. I was just so busy and so focused on multitasking and I wasn't really present. And I had overcome a late stage cancer. I was dealing with some emotional grief and loss, losing some friends that I thought I could save and I couldn't. So just a lot of things going on and trying to figure out that emotional balance, that overwhelming desire to want to be present, kids and my family and, professionally, and to also learn how to heal and kind of just quiet the noise a little bit. That was the main for starting joining the back in May. And then I also had some physical things that I was overcoming, residual effects from chemo, some wrist issues and things that were holding me back to the point where I felt like there were so many other things I wanted to explore in life, but I felt like I just couldn't because I had to, I have to get my wrist fixed. I've got to figure that out before I start Krav Maga training, or I have to completely heal my mind to be fully present. But joining this tribe has taught me so much. Apply to my life, the tools to be able to approach mindfulness piece by piece, and with this beautiful progression of introduction to mindfulness, and then you go this wonderful journey and start getting into things a little bit deeper, and you can choose at your pace what you want to experience and what you want to go deeper into and what you don't. And then you have the movement side of it, that also there's all of these options where you're learning the tools to kind of recalibrate your body in a sense. And then doing that over 21 days allowed me to learn, allowed me to meet some amazing people, allowed me to understand what vulnerability was. That's something that came out big time because it's a wonderful tribe of just learning mindfulness or the movement side of it. So knowing that you're in this space where you can be vulnerable and you can meet these great people that help encourage you and push you along. Like Sarah, she's the one who said, okay, Eva, you've been wanting to do a job, you got to go ahead and do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. And Dr. T gave me these beautiful exercise wrist so that I could start healing that process as I began. So my why is, there's so many reasons of why I joined, but there's never enough of how grateful I am for the experience.
Thank you, Eva. Yeah, I love that. And I also appreciate what you said about, oftentimes we want to wait to do something until we're like fully fixed, or, or the other one is like someday, like someday when I am a size whatever, I'll go buy myself some new jeans or whatever it is, right? Or someday when my life is less busy, I will take a vacation with my family, whatever it is, right? I think we all can relate to, kind of pushing some things that are important to us to someday, when really like life is in the now. And it's kind of, as Pima Chadron likes to say, is in the in between. Like there is, your wrists, maybe have been a problem for a while, but it doesn't mean you can't use your legs, right, to do things. And also rehabilitate and heal your wrists while you're doing maybe a little less intense training, but it doesn't mean you can't train, right? And I've actually learned a lot of some of these ways of thinking from what we call the adaptive community that's lost, have permanent disabilities, like permanent injuries from, trauma, or, just unfortunate situations, which is basically 4% of the injuries out there. Like a lot of these injuries that we deal with physically are preventable because of the way we sit or stand or move, or we don't pay attention to, but a lot of it's just trauma based and for the permanently injured. And so, they can't use their legs, they use their arms. And so that's, being able to realize that just because one part of you is injured doesn't mean you have to wait until it's fully healed to do anything in your life. And you hit upon that, Eva. And I think that's really important for people to understand. So, and it does, another thing you hit on, it takes time. And I love the way John, I don't know if you want to interject on the way you educate on time. Like, it's not just a pill, it's a process. So
yeah, I'll jump in just in that, the excuse, if you will, that we hear all the time is, hey, I don't have time for an experience like this. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do yoga. I don't have time to do any type of mobility drills. Well, if you take the time, a lot of the time after you take that 20, 30 minutes of movement, of yoga, of meditation, you actually get a return on that investment. The time after that experience, the time after that effort is actually better. You're more focused, you're more in the moment throughout the rest of your day. And a lot of the time, what normally could take 7 or 8 hours, you may get done in 5 or 6 hours. So then you're actually getting some time back potentially. So there's a return on investment by taking time for yourself, taking time for your own emotional, physical, spiritual well-being. You're actually making time. So take time to make time.
Yeah, I always love the way you explain that, John. And honestly, so I've been a healthcare provider for a while. I constantly need the reminders. That's another big thing about this, is that I appreciate about this tribe that I actually didn't have. I didn't share this, but I was a Marine Corps officer, and I transitioned 13 years ago, and really haven't found or even created a tribe since then. I've been part of different groups. So this has been a wonderful thing for me. And I really appreciate, in a selfish way, the constant reminders John gives me on time, because time is our most precious commodity. And it's all too often, and I get this a lot, and I'm going to kick it to Randy here in a second, but I have small children, 4 and 15 months. And so many people have told me, like, I wish I could go back to those years, or I wish I was more present in those years. And that stuck with me. It sticks with me. And I get it a lot from people around who have children, and even those who don't, like, oh man, those years are so great. Pay attention. And so I do appreciate the constant reminders, because I need it. So Thank you, John. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Brent. Now I want to kick it over to Randy to share a little bit about himself. And Randy, what kind of attracted you to this?
First, I'd just like to say thanks for allowing me to be here this morning. I sincerely appreciate it. I retired from the military a year ago, October of last year. About 5 years before that, my wife had stopped me and noticed a change in me. She's like, "Hey, I think you need to take a break. I think it might be time to start considering retirement." And I'm like, "Woman," I'm like, "Babe, I'm like, you're crazy. No way." I'm like, I just keep going. And and then I've always just been able to, I use going to the gym or PT as my thing. I'm like, man, I'll just keep going to the gym. I'll go to the gym more. I'll get up earlier. I just felt like I always needed to be doing something. Go a couple years go by and things aren't changing. I'm more moody. I'm just physically, mentally, and emotionally tired. And I carried on for about 5 more years before I actually retired. And as I was making this transition, I told myself, I'm like, man, I need to figure out what's going on. I tried going to a counselor for a little bit. We just didn't mesh very well. So then I happened upon this deliberate discomfort challenge, and I need a battle buddy. I need a battle buddy, somebody to hold me accountable. So I got one of my old retired buddies to join me. And so we started this challenge, and that's where I first heard John's lovely voice. And I was like, mindfulness. I'm like, what? And trying to, it took a long time to like just be able to sit there and listen and focus on those thoughts. And I've only been doing it now for like 10 months roughly. And I still have some days and some troubles, but that led me to Will and Men Talking Mindfulness, which was fantastic. I'm like, man, these guys are having candid conversations that I have coffee with my friends. And then and that's how I heard about the M2 experience. I was like, man, this is fantastic. So now I have accountability. I have a reason to chime in. I have a reason to get there. I've got to do this. So I'll be a lifelong person, continue to be part of this program as long as it's around. I like the fact that it doesn't start on a Monday, as you were talking about. Like, I'll start on Monday. For some reason, that's the day we decide to choose, but you don't start this 21-day program on a Monday. I think that's fantastic. So I just try to be more mindful and present for my kids and my wife, because I didn't do that. I just kept driving, didn't feel the successes that I had. I didn't feel like I was worthy of those successes. And I had to just keep grinding and get up and go. I had to get up earlier and, and not let people down. And I missed out on so much. But this has really helped me to become more present. I'm blessed in the fact that I've been able to take the last year to just focus on this. And I appreciate all that all of you are doing, and good to see everybody here.
Thanks, Randy. That was awesome. And any transitioning veteran out there, like, we thankfully do get to work with a lot of our brothers and sisters on this platform program, life experience, if you will. And Randy, it's I think you hit on something that probably most people can relate to. And I'll say this, just, everyone looks different on the outside and has these different stories, but underneath, we all do actually struggle and have successes very similarly, the way we celebrate them. So, Randy, like, you're thinking of, oh, if I just go to the gym more and pump more weights, pump more iron, Vicious and Delicious out there, like getting a little stronger. Like, I totally relate to that. Like, do more. Maybe I can restrict my food. I even used to like think of the food and like, how can I control my food or add more or less or more training here? And it was almost like doing more. I would add more to my plate, thinking that would help fix me. And it was quite the opposite. And so I found that the mindfulness work, and I don't, full disclosure, as a PT, like, my lane here is movement and movement health, and the low-hanging fruit of medicine. And I went to a mindfulness meditation expert before I even met John and Will. This was years ago, where I learned the skills of slowing down, which you don't actually learn, to be honest, in talk therapy. And I've been through a lot of talk therapy, and I respect those in it. However, learning the skills of being aware and present and slowing down, and tapping into your physiology is really important. So when you do go train, like less is more, like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That was a very powerful share, Randy, and we're very thankful to have you in this tribe. And one other thing I want to touch on that you hit on was that you weren't present. Maybe you have some regrets from like when you were not paying attention, and I think we all can relate to that, right? There are definitely times where I've had conversations with Will and John, my husband, my mindfulness meditation coach that I actually still keep in touch with, about some shame I still have with like, why did I make this decision? Or why did I hang out with this person? Or whatever it was, right? And the thing is coming to peace with our past is really important. Like, we are human beings, and we all, like, that's part of life and learning. And when you can look at each hard, good experience as growth, like, okay, well, I learned from that, and now I'm where I am. And that's really powerful to be able to look at your past stories and reframe them, which is a big part of this mindfulness training, is reframing these stories that we have of like, all right, yeah, that really did suck, but you know what? I can, that allowed me to get to where I am. And what we have is the here and now, because now we can develop great relationships with ourselves and our others. And yes, the past is the past, and there's stories to them, but we have the now. We can change right now, and we can do something good with our life, with the people in our life right now. So thank you for hitting on that, Randy. And I would like to kick it over to Sarah Marie in the Hollywood Square. You're over here for me, but I don't know about everyone else. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, so my background, I guess, professionally as a nurse, been a nurse for about 15 years, and you either know or you don't know what they say about nurses, but we make the worst patients, usually taking care of everyone else and not really taking care of ourselves. And my first introduction to mindfulness was probably actually in about 2015. And I was going through my divorce and trauma and different things like that. And so mindfulness and yoga, I would do yoga at the YMCA every week. I'm so glad that Will is here now and we have yoga with the M2 experience, because that's definitely my jam. That's where I really can let it all out and let it go. I use the breathing and the mindfulness to bring awareness, to be able to be mindful of my everyday tasks and everything that's going on around me. But the yoga is what really helps with that release. And in my nursing, I worked on a post-op ortho floor in St. Louis for about 6 months. So I have that knowledge and that background of, this is what happens to you when you don't take care of your body and you don't move properly and you have proper mechanics, and just seeing what everyone was going through, and having my own physical ailments, knees, hips, playing soccer growing up, just pushing myself hard athletically, and with martial arts and things like that as well too. So when I saw the M2 movement pop up, I was like, yes, like I love weaving tapestries. And so when you can weave like that mindfulness and the yoga and the movement and really see how it all just intertwines and plays off each other like little building blocks and Legos, I was really excited to see that you guys were doing that somebody was putting that together, and incorporating all of that. And then the doing it with a group, with a tribe of people, because that's something that I hadn't experienced in a while. Back in 2015, when I was going through all my stuff, I was actually in like a phone support group with the women all over the country. So this was before COVID and before we all had Zoom meetings. And so I knew something long distance like that could really work, that you can make connections with people even when you're long distance. And so I was really excited to be able to find a new tribe. You have seasons in your life ebbs and flows, and there's seasons. And I was excited that I found this in a season in my life when I really knew that I needed movement and the mindfulness and then the support of a tribe.
Thank you, Sarah Marie. We love having you in the tribe. And by the way, everyone, Sarah Marie also helped me move into my new home this weekend along with John. So I have gotten to meet her in person, thankfully. And I've gotten to meet Brent in person, not Will or Eva yet, or Randy, but yet. We will meet at some point. But thank you. You touched on something important, like the seasons in life. I actually, now that I live in a place, because I moved from San Diego, where there's absolutely, I don't think any seasons, it was just beach season all the time. Now there's actually seasons, and it makes me think about the seasons in my life too. And I think that's, important, just like with, your training, your ebb and flow of training. It doesn't have to be, guts to the wall all day long, every day. There's a season for it. You can be intense one season, less intense one season. But kind of like maybe for all of you listening, checking in as to what season are you in? What are you needing right now? Are you needing a tribe? I think that's one of the biggest things about this experience, is that we know people are on the different, like the Peloton app or the whatever they're doing, right? I don't know, but people are on lots of different things. Like there's a bajillion apps out there, of training apps. And yet the biggest thing is an app is an app. A tool is a tool. Like the thing is, we want to who can you come together with to actually like connect? Like, where's that connection? And having worked in the fitness industry for quite some time, there is a significant lack of connection in a lot of these different organizations. And so that's one of the biggest things that we do love. And it was kind of a surprise, honestly. I don't know, John, if you want to chime in here about the connection piece of the tribe, like because we were teaching these seminars, and it's like, oh my gosh, now we have this tribe and we are getting so much energy from you all.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So both in the Facebook group that we have, where people post questions about the experience, or they post comments about the experience, they post comments about what they're struggling with, what they're really benefiting from, those kinds of things. And then the other folks from the tribe chime in to support or answer those questions. That's great. But we also have, during the experience, the weekly check-in, which originally, when we kicked this off the first time, it was just me and Teresa, just the two talking heads, with everyone else kind of on receive mode in chat. And somebody said, hey, it would be great if everyone could come into this as, Hollywood Square. And we did that. And that was a game changer, and really opening up a space for people, like Eva mentioned before, to be open and vulnerable and share what they need. And that created bonds that I was just blown away by, and created a safe space. We talk about safe space, and there's people who kind of laugh at that term, but safe space, it created a safe space for people, and that's what bonded this group right here, and some of the other participants in the Movement RX, the mindfulness and movement experience. It's just a game changer for real. I mean, some of the other tribe members have commented here in their experience. Michelle DeVoe, and I know her husband Alex, and what they've experienced, and so many of the other folks who've been a part of this in the past cohorts. And they're going to continue to be a part of the Movement RX platform and that family moving forward. So yeah, definitely something I didn't expect, but been pleasantly surprised by.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Well, I know we've got about 15 minutes left, so I want to ask another question to you all. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm taking notes on an actual notepad. There, real dinosaur here. Where was that?
Look
question?
At all those notepads. Look at all that.
You're not taking notes, John?
Notepads.
What's up with you?
I'm not, man. I'm trying to run this
nice.
show.
Sometimes I'm like writing too, and I'm not looking, and I look down and I'm like, oh wow, not too bad, you know. It's like typing and not looking. So what I want to ask you all is what's like the number one impact, and you might have a couple, but the number one impact on your life so far being this experience? I would actually, Will, if you'd like to share first, like kind of what the impact, not necessarily being in this experience, but like knowing that this tribe is there, like for people that you serve, right, through my Men Talking Mindfulness, and for you, like I'd love to hear what the impact has been on your life, and then we'll kick it over to Brent.
I think like as a facilitator, as a participant, as like kind of a creator, I think one of the big things I'm learning with this like remote way of doing things is a lot of patience. I think, you know, patience for the technology, patience for myself, patience for new people that are coming into this experience, and just really, I mean, you mentioned that whole idea of like holding space, like what is that, and just being able to have a space, create a space, offer people to, or invite people into this space, and then take care of that space with patience, with compassion, with empathy, you know, exemplifying vulnerability and authenticity. And that's really, you know, just helped me, you know, be a better student, which helps me to be a better teacher, which helps me to collaborate more effectively with Teresa and John on the back end as we try to continually find better ways to do this. So it's like, it's really comes full circle, you know, and I really enjoy, you know, being the student as much as I enjoy being the teacher sometimes. So I get to learn a lot of different things from everybody, and really look at the entire platform as an opportunity to learn, you know, not just another, you know, like, I mean, I've been teaching mindfulness for a while, but when I go through your videos, John, I'm like, oh yes, like, you know, it's a great reminder, you know, it's a reminder. It's like, oh yes, I need to slow down. Like you're talking about, Brett and other people, like, and just like, or Randy, you're talking about slowing down and like, and really absorbing like those 3 raisins, you know, like taking time to really just like, to really be in the moment. So, and I think one thing about like M2 and what we're doing, it's like, it's practice. It's practice and more practice and more practice. And not to sound like, you know, authoritarian in that regard, but it's like, that's, if you want to change, if you want to find your best self, if you want to tap into that brilliance that we all have on the inside, like your own unique brilliance, then it's going to take time. It's going to take patience, and it's going to take a lot of practice. But also what's great about the tribe is the tribe, you know, hearing other people's experience, and then using that experience, like to inform, like, oh wait, like I feel that same way. It's like, oh, maybe I can kind of avoid that pitfall, and then, you know, listen to somebody else's experience and use that as a platform to step into some place that I never even thought was possible. So that's what's great about what you mentioned. It's great, you know, I love how they have all these meditation apps and Peloton and all this other stuff, but to create a connection and community that can really honestly talk in a vulnerable and authentic way is just so incredibly valuable. Because all the stuff that I've done, you know, it's when it's done in community, that's where I learn and get the most benefits. Is when I hear from other people about their experience and have an opportunity to express my voice about my experience.
Yeah.
So thank you, Teresa.
Well, you picked up on, you said something actually really important about student teacher. Like, so, well, you know, John and I created this 8 months ago now, 6 months ago now. I can't remember. I don't even know. I think I know what month it is. It's 20th of October. Is it?
Very good. I think it's the 19th, but you're close.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm having grace with myself with the fact that my house is all in boxes, and I'm just like, what day is it? But you mentioned student teacher, like it's, you know, and partnering with Men Talking Mindfulness with you, Will, like it's not the Will, John, and Teresa show. This is a time where I actually feel like a student to Randy, Brent, Sarah Marie, and Eva because of your experiences and what you've taught me and taught us. So it really, it's a lot of give and take, which I really appreciate. And another thing that is very much missing in the world of human performance, it's a lot of like big speaker telling people what to do with not a lot of connection. You like that robot voice there. And it's not that way. There's a give and a take and a sharing of experiences and a guiding. It's almost like we're guiding lights for each other. So I really appreciate that. And it is practice, practice, practice. And so I challenge all of you to not wait for the someday and just dive into practice now. So I'd like to kick it over to Brent to talk about, the major impact this has had on your life.
Yeah, I think there's one from a mindfulness standpoint and one from a movement standpoint. There's certainly, it's just the realization of this, and this is what it is. And I can either change it and accept it and lean into it, or I can just kind of be uncomfortable with it. From a mindfulness standpoint, having meditation as a toolbox and having all the different meditations, I'm able to go back to some of John's meditations that I've listened to several times, but every time I listen, I hear something different, I clear something different, and I create something different every time. And I could listen to the same meditation 3 times in a row, and it's consistently, I hear different, I clear different, and I create differently. And so that's just opened up again, a connection with everything that's going on in life that is kind of freeing and feels really good. From a movement standpoint, and I'm an athlete, albeit an aging athlete, but I'm never going to let my inner athlete in me. It's the ability, I have just always accepted since I was a kid that, no pain, no gain. Well, a lot of things I was doing in my fitness, and some of my fitness is a bit extreme from a swim, bike, run standpoint. Just creating things physically that, I've been able to fix the onset of carpal tunnel syndrome. I've been able to strengthen my neck. I mean, so I always have a rubber band next to me, for my neck, and, hip tightness. So just the things that were kind of nagging that I just accepted as, well, I'm just training hard and this is the pain that comes along with it. Well, that's nonsense. I mean, there's so many things you can do with what I call my smoke breaks during the day, just my 10-minute breaks where I drop onto the floor. Whether I'm in an airport now or in an office or wherever I'm at, I can drop down. I can do hip stretches. I can do strengthen my neck. So just the impact of the realization of this is what it is. You either fix it or you don't. And it's been extremely powerful. And I couldn't imagine being connected with a greater group of people than what we have here, which is just absolutely awesome.
Thanks, Brent. Oh my gosh. Well, I was definitely taking notes on that one too. I love the smoke breaks. I mean, I don't like smoking clearly, but I like appreciate that's the whole point, is this creating this lifestyle of movement, right? You just it doesn't have to be this I have to do an hour a day every day. It's just, little transitions in your day when you first wake up, when you're in the shower, doing things where it just makes sure you don't fall down, or sit next to anything sharp, just add it, make it part of your day. And then you realize, oh, just movement's part of my life. And that's the goal here, is especially on the movement side. And, I know John talks about the transitions on the mindfulness and meditation side too, is creating those transitions from work to home and home to work. And you touched on something else about I don't have to be in pain, that's huge for a lot of people. We just I think there's a common thinking that pain is just normal, and it's common, but it's not normal. We are designed to be pain-free until we're 110. Daniel Lieberman talks about that in his book, the history of the human body. We need to be uncomfortable. We need to wear less comfortable shoes, sit in less comfy chairs, so we actually learn to get strong. There's a whole nother, we can talk about that on the Men Talking Mindfulness podcast. Doesn't mean every part of your life has to be uncomfortable, but you touched upon, you don't have to be in pain, right? There's just because you're an athlete, just because we're all aging, we're all getting older. We all have chronic injuries, old things that have popped up or keep popping up or we've had. That doesn't mean we have to be in pain our whole life. And so I think it's important to think of pain as an ally. It's a threat. Let's do something about it. And let's live an even more powerful life by doing something about it. So I would like to kick it to Eva to share her impact what the impact of the M2 experience has been on her.
Unmute.
I think we may have lost Eva.
Okay.
She froze there. So yeah, back over to, who is it, Randy?
We can go to Randy, yes. Oh, do we have Eva? Eva, say something?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Oh, yes.
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 So the impact on this program, I think there are some things I hoped for or kind of anticipated. The mindfulness, I was hoping to slow down. The movement, I was hoping to move physically better. What I didn't expect was the mindfulness to really come into play, especially doing this after the 21 days. And John, I told you, your voice is in my head constantly, which is wonderful. But I have these tools available when the unexpected things in life happen, whether it's emotional, whether it's professionally, some kind of pressure or strain. I now have these tools available to kind of just be with it and work through it, not get derailed at all, but just moving forward, or kayaking all the time, like keep paddling forward. But having those tools available allows me to understand that there are options, different options when the unexpected happens in life, or when emotions come up that I need to address. And the movement side of it, I was hoping to address some aches and pains, but I wasn't expecting to feel physically better than I have in a decade. I wasn't expecting to have the courage to keep training and training harder and harder and harder, and know, it doesn't have to cause you to stop if you have a pain. You just have to adapt. But that allowed me to train harder than I ever have in my life, and has brought this level of confidence and inner strength that I wasn't expecting. But the two most surprising aspects of this experience were, number one, the connection with this tribe. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting through Zoom that I could connect to people that I feel like I've been friends with all life, that know me probably better now than most people, even in my current life. I wasn't expecting that connection, but what triggered all of this for me, and the connection and the openness to connection, was when you said, John, to Dr. T, authenticity, and hearing you and Will talk and talking mindfulness and just in general. There's this level of authenticity where you can just be. You don't have to, whoever, society or your family or whatever your expectations were of, this is who you are. This tribe has shown me, just be yourself, be authentic, be real, be vulnerable. Yes. Raw, uncut, unapologetic. Absolutely. In the beginning, I was really hesitant to post and share. I would actually delete some posts because I was so nervous. But now I can share freely, and this tribe has really meant the world to me. And as a result, I know this is a professional platform. As a result, even professionally, my meetings, I just got back from a big trip. My meetings were productive, they were effective, they were efficient, and I was just on point every single one. And that's, I guess, all-encompassing growth. And that's what I've gotten from this tribe and from this experience. So I can't say enough. It's been amazing. And all these goals and this joy, a lot of it is from this tribe, because there were periods of darkness and periods of challenges that it's like, how do I get through this? And this tribe has, this experience gives you some tools and gives you the answers, to at least start making your progress.
Thank you, Eva. And I think just knowing you're not alone, that's something you've shared before, is that you're going through these human experiences together. So thank you. And I'd like to have Randy and Sarah Marie share too. And I'll open it up that we'll maybe spend another 5-6 minutes on here. So I know that we mentioned this thing would be an hour, but this is raw, uncut, unapologetic, and we are going to continue. So Randy, over to you, brother.
Man, that's a tough to follow. I'll say everybody's hit on everything that it's done for me. So it takes practice. The connection you make with everybody, knowing that people feel the same way you do, you're having the same thoughts that you do, are pretty awesome. And then the movement piece. So what I like about it is you bring some of that to the table, but then if there's other aches and pains that you're having, you're allowed to say that, hey, I'm having a problem with my ankle or my shoulder or whatever's going on, and then you'll bring a lesson, 10 minutes for that, or you're willing to connect offline to help work through that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not getting any younger, but Tom Brady gives me hope. I might be a couple years older than that guy, but he's getting after it. I'm like, man, if he can fight Father Time, so can I. And like,
I love that, Randy. Yeah, that is a good point to bring up, is that you bring what you have to the table. Like, this is for on the movement side. That's what I do. We have these things called Dr. Tea Time, 1 hour a week, where we triage issues that are going on with all of us. Those that sign in, and go through a body routine, like a specific joint routine each week that we know is restricted or cumbersome for a lot of people, like the neck, shoulder, hips, knees, toes, like that song, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. We kind of do that, but sequentially. We make it fun, because again, pain, dysfunction can be an ally. Like it's a sign to, like, okay, this is where I need to get better, versus, man, my life is over, I can't do active things anymore. No, we can very much tackle the majority of issues out there. And even if there is a systemic issue, or I don't have an answer because I'm a health provider, I will refer you to someone who I think can help. Like, we have a great referral network here too. So thank you, Randy. And I'd like to kick it over to Sarah Marie to share what the impact has been for her.
Yeah, so I think everybody's like really touched on it, is just the people in the group and the tribe, and just supporting one another, being able to share kind of those vulnerabilities with each other. And I know, like, towards the end of the first cohort, a couple of us were like, yeah, we're staying on, and hey, do you want to, I mean, I don't think we called it a battle buddy, but we said like accountability partner, do you want to partner and be like a support for one another. And so being able to have that network and that tribe has probably been, I don't say I was necessarily surprised by it. That's what I was hoping for when I joined it. I was hoping it would happen. And so I'm really feeling blessed that it did. Sorry, it's dry here in Colorado. You gotta drink your water. And the other, benefit is just, recently this past year, having some new physical ailments with, labrum tears in my hips and that kind of thing. And so I did a round of physical therapy, the very, structured, and went twice a week and did all of that. But what I love about, the M2 movement and Dr. T, you do your Dr. T times, and we have all the other stuff, but it's having kind of the flexibility to be like, play around and see like what is going to work best, and what really like helps me to strengthen and heal in this time of injury that I'm having right now. And so I really, really appreciate like that flexibility, and having somebody to talk to, and having like a group to talk to as well, just the different perspectives that everybody offers, on either what's going on in their own life, or when you post and then they offer their perspective. I've talked a little bit about learning, and you guys talked about how kind of being the teacher and the student, and one of the bits of wisdom that I carry with me from my dad is, you never stop learning until you're 6 feet under. And that's always just been my MO. Like, there will always be people for me to learn from, and there will always be people for me to share my knowledge as well. And I really feel like that's what's been created here at M2, and I love it.
I love that, Sarah Marie. I think our dads would probably get along because my dad would say the same thing. Or he's like, it's a good day if your name is in the obituary column. That's another one. And so, he had his own way of practicing mindfulness. But you hit on a lot of beautiful things, like the accountability. Again, I think that's a common theme here. You're not alone, and life is full of so many ups and downs for everyone, that just knowing that you're on this journey with other people who are choosing to dive in head first and face these triggers, successes head on, is really nice. So thank you, Sarah Marie. And I will, on that note, that was a wonderful hour spent with you all. And I would challenge anyone out there, or suggest anyone out there listening who's, on the fence, just get off the fence and join us on the M2 experience. It's coming up October 27th. Bring a battle buddy in, ideally a fellow veteran, and if not, just a loved one that could use some assistance and would appreciate something like this. And Will or John, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I'll just jump in with, the reason that we're kind of harping on the veteran aspect of it is for Veterans Month next month for November. And the deal is you can sign up for the experience yourself at the link down there in the caption, and then you can pay it forward, and you get a discount if you pay it forward if you bring a battle buddy, whether they're a veteran or not. But we definitely want to bring some veterans in for Veterans Month so that they can benefit from these experiences, because we do know that what we're all exposed to both on the battlefield and off the battlefield, in the military and after the military, is tough. And it's nice to have this tribe here to support that and give you tools to help with that. So that's the last little piece I wanted to throw in. So back over to you, T or Will, for any last comments.
No, I just have one question. Could be for active military as well, or just veterans?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can pay it forward to anyone because it's Veterans Month. So the way the Mindfulness and Movement experience rolls forward, and what makes it, is that each experience is going to have a different focused theme. This one is for veterans, but again, you can pay it forward to anyone. The next one, we're going to have a physical focus, like the low back, right? We know that there's an emotional and physical component on the low back, and then each movement experience moving forward, or mindfulness movement experience moving forward, will have a different movement theme, but the mindfulness will always stay the same. And really anything you bring to the table is going to be focused on, but we know that there are major impairments that we find in people that, so that it takes you, like Sarah Marie actually spoke about this, you become a student, teaching you ways to heal yourself. Over the course of time, you're learning, versus waiting for someone to tell you what to do. I'm going to teach you how to be your own practitioner over the course of time. So I hope that was clear as mud there. But yes, active duty is very much welcome.
Okay, great.
Anything else anyone wants to say before we sign off? And thank you all for joining us.
Well, I want to just say thank you to this panel. Thanks for being participants in the Mindfulness and Movement experience. Thanks for being participants in the Movement RX platform, and thanks for being participants here today with us on this panel, sharing your experience. It's been great being here with you. And I see the heart that Brent's putting up. Thank you for that, brother. Always a pleasure. If no one has anything else, I'll wrap it up with the commercial just to drive the point home. Sounds for good. Everyone. All right,
I will. You know what? When you said thank you, this is the last thing I'll say. And my husband always, says that I like to say the last words. I do sometimes. One more thing. I have just one more thing to say. But I think this is actually very powerful. I was. Regardless of your religious affiliation or what you believe, one of the greatest prayers that you could ever say is thank you. That's it. And so I thank you for listening in. I thank Randy, Brent, Sarah Marie, Eva, Will, and John. I'm so incredibly grateful for you. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody.
Because life is so chaotic and can be very messy, the longest trip you can ever take is from your head to your heart. My father told me this at many times in my life. That trip is actually the emotional and physical connection that we have with ourselves when we're in these chaotic moments, with our environment. My name is Dr. Teresa Larson. I'm a former Marine, pro athlete, now doctor of physical therapy.
And I'm John McCaskill, retired Navy SEAL commander turned mindfulness and meditation teacher. The two of us have blazed this trail. It took us years to do so, to get a feeling of peace emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And we want to help you blaze that trail in just a fraction of the time. And if you want to take your own journey and learn how to do this faster, check out our mindfulness and movement experience.